What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. The Players Cup 4 for the Pokemon trading card game online qualification period has recently ended, so players cannot earn tournament rep anymore. So everything is locked in there. And today we'll be looking at decks that players use to earn 100 or more tournament rep. If you missed part 1 of this a few weeks back, make sure you go check that out, because those lists will not also be shown in today's video. These are all new lists, and a lot of people submitted lists. So I believe I've included every single person who sent me their information and their image of their deck list that they wanted to represent their tournament rep for this. So congrats to everyone for earning their rep. I used 100 tournament rep as an arbitrary marker of where I thought was safe to qualify in North America. So I used 100 tournament rep across the board. That was what would get you on this video. And I could have just done like a typical best decks for Players Cup 4 video, or these are the decks I think are good. But the real purpose of this video is to give players who are performing well credit and, you know, a nice place in the community where people can see their lists and their name and stuff like that. Because I really want to be able to, you know, spread this community that I've been lucky enough to have on my YouTube channel. I want to share the love. So that's kind of what the purpose of this video is for, to give everybody who has been doing well a chance to show their deck off in this video, have their name up on the screen, and maybe they're the next big name you're looking out for. With that being said, we'll take a quick look at what tournament rep you needed to qualify in each of the 4 regions. Of course, before disqualifications or anything like that happens, so these are roughly accurate. Also, how many players earned at least 1 tournament rep over the course of the month that you had to use your keys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If there's any at the end I will show the deck that I finished some of my keys with. Well, I didn't technically finish my keys, so that's a bad way to word it, but the deck I used to earn the bulk of my points towards the second half of my Players Cup, and then talk a little bit about the top 256 that's coming up later. So before we get into this, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. And be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel for daily Pokemon TCG content. I should also add, if you didn't send me the correct information, or you didn't send me your list, or you did and I just missed it somehow, please feel free to add in the comments down below, either a link to your list or just paste your PTCGO export and how much rep you earned with it, if you earned 100 or more reps. So feel free to do that. And now let's get into the bulk of the video. So this is from leaderboards.pokedata.ovh, which is the really convenient way to track your points for the Players Cup and to track how everyone else is doing. According to this, 6,704 total players earned tournament rep. So that's not technically how many people played in Players Cup events, but it's how many people played in Players Cup events and got at least 1 win. That's the best measurement we can get for this data, since PTCGO doesn't let you like rip this data. This is just data that Julian got from the Pokemon website. So in North America, it looks like 93 points will be the cutoff for making top 256. In Europe, 84. In Latin America, 79. And in Oceania, 42. Now, Oceania is so much smaller because, as you'll see, they only had 270 players even play in Players Cup events, whereas each other region had at least 1,000, with North America having over 3,000. So 6,704 total players earned tournament rep. And a special shout out here to all of my wonderful patrons that support me over on patreon.com. I don't do this enough, but I really appreciate you all supporting me monthly over on Patreon. And I'll have some updates about my channel and my content and my Patreon and kind of the mission of what I'm trying to do with content creation probably in the next week or so. I've already shared some stuff with my patrons, but I'll have a video, a little bit more of an intimate video, just talking about my goals and whatnot sometime in the next week. So be tuned for that. And yeah, thanks for everyone that supports me over on patreon.com/Celio's Network. So we're starting out here coincidentally with Julian, who makes the leaderboard site that tracks all the players' cup data. So shout out to Julian in Europe. They earned 100 tournament rep with the Psychic Mewtwo deck. I don't think there's anything particularly unique about this list, but if I didn't already mention that at the beginning of the video, I've been rambling a lot, so I'm in 5 minutes. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on every single deck we look at here, because a lot of these decks have just been really fleshed out, and a lot of them might look the same because people have figured out what lists are good and how to play the deck. So I'm not going to spend too much time on every single deck, but I do want to give the people who submitted their decks the screen time and, you know, shout them out and give them their recognition. So congrats, Julian, for 100 tournament rep with Psychic Mewtwo. Next, we have Julius Brunfelt from Europe, who earned 100 tournament rep as well with Blacephalon or Tempozard, whatever it is you prefer to call the deck. And again, here, I think this is a pretty typical list. I don't think there's anything going on here that really stands out to me. Of course, if I'm missing anything in any of these decks, be sure to let me know. We're looking at, like, I think 20 or 30 decks today in this video, so there's quite a bit. I'm not actually, so Cherish Ball. So this deck plays 3 Cherish Ball. I think some lists play pikarom as opposed to Cherish Ball, and a lot of lists do play 1 Heatran, 1 Charizard. Next, we have Chris Stotts from North America with 102 tournament rep, playing Eternatus VMAX with the Phoebe Palpad combo to have a bit of an extra strategy versus Luke Metal and Decidueye. And also with Tool Jammer, which Tool Jammer got a lot of love in Japan a couple months ago when it was newer there. And it took a while, but I've been seeing it pop up more and more in Eternatus and Victini decks here. It's really a tool that relies on other people also playing tools, so it's a card that is very reliant on what people are building their decks like and not so much on what you're doing with the card. So it can be hit or miss and pretty meta and just kind of like trend dependent. Next, we have Bert Walters from Europe with 102 tournament rep, playing Urshifu VMAX Cinccino. This is one of the more fun top decks of the current standard format, I think. Now, I didn't play any Urshifu at all for my qualifiers. If I did, it might have just been the Jirachi Urshifu VMAX build, because that's what I was testing more, and that's what I had already been comfortable with. But I will say, going into top 256 preparation, this is one of the decks that I'm keeping my eye on and getting some games in with, because I do think it has a lot of potential, and I just enjoy how it plays, probably because it has an evolving Pokemon. It's not a VMAX in it. My like or dislike for a deck is probably fickle as that. It has Cinccino and it has Zorik's ability on it, so I like it. But yeah, congrats to Bert Walters for qualifying. Next, we have Logan Adams from North America, 107 tournament rep, also with Rapid Strike Urshifu Cinccino. Not the exact list. This one is playing the Heal Jamming Mimikyu, which prevents your opponent's Pokemon from healing if they are on the bench. So that stops healing via Mallow and Lana. Other than that, the lists are quite similar, though. Next, we have Oscar Acuna playing Pikarom. And this Pikarom list has 2 Stealthy Hood, which I will say, I think Stealthy Hood is not necessary. I took Stealthy Hood out of my list about 20 keys in, so that was probably about 8 keys in with Pikarom. And I know Mike Fouché played without Stealthy Hood, and he finished first in the world, or tied first in the world with Tord Reklev and first NA. The Rapid fan, the fan of waves, I always call it Rapid fan. I think it's okay. I really love Team Yell Grunt. I even just intrinsically, I like Team Yell Grunt because it is a tempo-oriented card that is non-degenerate. It doesn't get rid of the energy, it puts it back to the hand. I just love Team Yellgrunt, and it allows me to even add on more options and more skillful decisions with pikarom. So I do think that Team Yellgrunt is very, very good in pikarom. But congrats to Oscar for getting 107 rep with this pikarom list, doing a little bit of his own thing with the Fan of Waves and double stealthy hood. Not exactly what I would do with it, but hey, these are like 2 to 3 cards differences, and pikarom's pikarom, you know. Also, something for people watching that even have qualified, have competed, or maybe just haven't competed and are looking at this for kind of like a top decks kind of thing. Regardless of the region that the player is in, the Players Cup events are mixed. So you can be in a Players Cup 8-man qualifier event with all people from North America, or you can have 2 people from each region in it, or whatever. It's completely random. And the regions are North America, Latin America, Europe, and Oceania, in case I didn't say that before. Next we have Dan and Underko from North America with 108 tournament rep, and he played Decidueye with Alolan Persian GX, and Alolan Persian GX has the ability that reads that it cannot be damaged by tag team Pokemon, Ultra Beasts, or Pokemon with special energy attached to them, so it walls off some stuff. Very interesting, unique, and honestly, I'm a little scared of Decidueye decks going into the top 256 because Kevin Kruger, the rogue deck extraordinaire and friend of mine, grinded into through the top 256 with Decidueye for Players Cup 3. So he showed the world that it can be done, and maybe doomed us all to play against Decidueyes in the next top 256. But yeah, so I'm not sure if Alolan Persian GX is worth it. I haven't really crunched the numbers in my head if that's what you want to do with those 4 slots. But nonetheless, it's very dope to see Dan doing well with Alolan Persian GX in the Decidueye deck. And I do think Decidueye is something to keep in mind, whether to take the loss to tech against, to play yourself, or be prepared for top 256. Next, we Juan Acuña with Psychic Mewtwo. This one I do believe has a couple differences from the other Psychic Mewtwo we looked at. What they are, I couldn't cite for you because there are so many darn cards in Psychic Mewtwo. But if you're new to this archetype, I didn't really explain it earlier. I won't be doing full in-depth deck profiles of all these archetypes obviously in this video. We're just kind of glancing at them, but Psychic Mewtwo just has a myriad of different attackers that Mewtwo can copy with the Perfection ability, and it also runs the Tag Call energy, so Malolana and Guzmahala work in it, and then you can have multiple different tools, as you see here: Stealthy Hood, Air Balloon, and Big Charm. So the deck has a lot to take in, and it is a high skill deck just because there's so many options at all times. So congrats to Juan in Latin America for getting 108 rep and securely qualifying in his region. Next, we have Greg Minkley from North America with 109 tournament rep. Greg's team actually knocked me out, or knocked my team out of the Team Challenge 1. I believe we were in top 64 or something like that. And Greg's team destroyed my team. Just a quick fun fact there. But Greg's playing a pretty standard looking Eternatus with Hammers and Phoebe. No Palpad with the Phoebe, which he's playing Sable IV. Never mind. Sable IV's first attack gets back a trainer card. So if you're not playing Palpad, you're playing Sable IV. That's quite fine. And Greg is also playing Tool Jammer, which we saw in the other Eternatus list. Notice a trend here. Also using Eternatus VMAX to earn 109 tournament rep, Patrick Wall from North America. Shouts out to Patrick. He's a patron of mine and a coaching client, so super proud to see him on this video. Using Eternatus VMAX as well, with Phoebe, with Palpad, with Tool Jammer, and the 3-6 split of basic Dark Energy, 3 Weakness Guard Energy to combat Urshifu a little bit. Yeah, nothing too much else to say here. Hammers, 4 Marnie Research, 3 boss. I'd like to see the 4th boss, but I think that maybe that cut went into like Energy Spinner or Palpad or the Tool Jammer or something like that. Pretty standard list. Tool Jammer's been in all these Eternatus lists, so keep that in mind. Next we have Stephen Hogan North America with 110 tournament rep, Psychic Mewtwo again. Now this one has Greninja GX. The first Psychic Mewtwo we looked at also had Greninja GX, I believe, but the other one didn't. So it's just something to note. Some of the Psychic Mewtwo's have Greninja GX because it can swing through things like Decidueye, and some of them are choosing not to play the Greninja GX. Congrats to Steven for 110 tournament rep. Next, we have Brent Sears, North America, 112 tournament rep, playing Rillaboom, Eggrowl, Mewtwo. I will note that Tord Rekolev tweeted that he got to, he's tied for first in the world on tournament rep, and he used Eggrowl, Rillaboom, Mewtwo, or whatever it is that you call this deck. He did not share a list, though, but he did say that he played this archetype. Just a little note there, that this and pikarom are the two archetypes at first in the world. So Brent Sears from North America, 112 tournament rep, playing Eggrowl, Rillaboom, Mewtwo, or Grass Mewtwo. And I like this build. I believe that this originated in Japan months ago with the Dragonite and the Pheromosa Buzzwole, and then some players started playing in the Limitless tournaments online, and it just kind of popped off and became the norm for Mewtwo Rillaboom decks. Because I remember seeing the Dragonite GX Pheromosa in like a deck list from Ho-Oh News, which is a Japanese resource. And then I came up against a player using the Dragonite, I believe, in one of the first Battle Styles legal standard format tournaments I played in. So yeah, I do think Eggrowl, Rillaboom, this is a deck that I believe I have 0 games with in this standard format. I don't think I've piloted this deck a single time. And so this one's on my list to touch up my skills with a little bit. Probably not to play myself, but just to familiarize myself with it a little bit. And hey, give it a shot. Maybe I will end up wanting to play it. Next, we have Steven Roche in North America with 112 tournament rep, playing Luke Metal Zacian. No Crushing Hammers, playing the full 4 tag calls and 3 Coding Metal Energies. Metal Goggles and Cape of Toughness, we've been seeing a split of those cards in a lot of Luke Metal decks recently, as well as Chaotic Swell and Power Plant having a split in the Luke Metal Zacian decks. So this deck, I believe, was like not being talked about in the very early battle styles and like first week of Players Cup. Like people were not saying play Luke Metal or watch out for Luke Metal, but then week 2 came, and ever since then it's been a storm of Luke Metal Zacian, and this has been really good. And I think that has made Urshifu be less good. Next, we have some more Eternatus. Jens Mueller from Europe with 113 tournament rep. Again, the Tool Jammer. I told you, pay attention. Tool Jammer and Eternatus. It's a trend. Every Eternatus we've looked at so far has Tool Jammer in it. Also has the Absol that increases the basic Pokemon's retreat cost. We got some Hoop Guy in there. Phoebe with Pal Pad. Escape Rope Switch split, which I really like, and the 1 reset stamp, which a lot of Eternatus decks don't fit in, but this one does have the reset stamp, and they're fitting that stuff in because they don't play Hammers. So I mean, Hammer's a great card, especially when you're just trying to high roll into swinging 270 turn 2. Some people think, why not add a little more high roll and see if we win because we flip heads, and some people like Jens here decides to play other potentially useful cards like Absol and Reset Stamp and Stadium cards. Next is Pablo 7 in North America with 113 tournament rep, and I believe this is the only control deck we'll be talking about on today's video. So this is Excadrill Control, which focuses on using the Rototiller attack for 1 fighting energy that shuffles any 4 cards from your discard pile into your deck. And then it also uses Jesse and James to force your opponent to discard a card from their hand. And if you use Wheezing, they discard an extra card. So a whole bunch of control things. And, uses Galar Mind to try to trap things, or it uses energy removal plus Wondrous Labyrinth to leave your opponent not being able to use attacks. So it turns into a pretty simple control at the end where you just Rototiller and remove a resource or Jesse and James your opponent until they run out of cards. But it can be a very, very intricate deck to play and actually get to that end game lock with. So congrats to Pablo for getting 113 rep with this deck. We have more Luke Metal Zacian up next with a different kind of list. This one's playing zero tag call. It's playing Poke Gear instead. And so it's not playing Guzmahala. It's also not playing any capture energy because of the lack of Guzmahala, I would imagine. Other than that, nothing too special here with this Luke Metal list. So congrats to Ryan Umminger in North America for earning 114 tournament rep with this Luke Metal Zacian list. Next, we have more Psychic Mewtwo from James Langley in North America with 116 tournament rep. I believe this looks almost identical to one of the ones we looked at earlier. The only thing I'm noticing is that it does not have the Greninja GX that I mentioned that can swing through things like the Decidueye's ability. So it probably just has an extra consistency card somewhere in here to make up for that lack of Greninja GX. We've got Connor Chiappetta in North America with 116 tournament rep, who played Greenzard. And this is another unique one because I believe this is the only Greenzard in today's video as well. I know Azul GG has been playing quite a bit of Greenzard throughout the past month or two in tournaments on stream and videos, things like that. And Greenzard saw a little bit of a resurgence. And over in Japan, Greenzard never really went away, I don't think. I think we were just a little afraid of Marnie too much. So Greenzard's still solid enough. I would not personally play it because I think that it has a poor matchup to pikarom, and I think pikarom's too good. So yeah, but Greenzard as a deck that allows you to kind of show off your skill and your decision-making abilities, and also allows you to have so many different cards in your deck that you can grab at any time if you have a greens, like a Great Catcher or a Fan of Waves or a Vitality Band or a Great Potion. These little tools and odds and ends that can help piece together wins sometimes. So congrats to Connor for playing this cool deck that doesn't really see a lot of love anymore outside of Azul playing it and a couple of other people. Next, we have Nick Robinson in North America with 117 tournament rep, playing the Decidueye and using the 8-Palm from the Pikachu and Zekrom battle deck, I believe. That's where this 8-Palm promo came from. And it has the Yank Out attack for one colorless that allows you to force your opponent to discard cards from random from their hand until they have 5 cards left. So if your opponent is like trying to just wait until they draw into the right combo of cards to take down your deck, you can use Yank Out to just make them discard, you know, upwards of 2/3 of their hand or even more if they have a large hand. Another card in here that's interesting is Struggle Gloves. If the Pokemon this is attached to is weak to the opponent's Pokemon, then these attacks do 30 more damage. So against Volcanion from Unified Minds, the Decidueye would do 120 to it instead of 90, which is a significant number. Next is Lorenzo Falai from Europe with 129 tournament rep with Luke Metal Zacian. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th Luke Metal Zacian we've seen on this video so far. Playing the Tag Call version with the split of Swell Plant, with the split of Goggles, Cape of Toughness. So not much to say here. It looks kind of the same as the other one, the other Tag Call builds at least. So congrats on Lorenzo. 129 is a heck of a lot of reps, so good work. Next is Chi Duong from North America with 132 tournament rep, playing Luke Metal Zacian. Tag Call engine, but not as heavy on the Tag Call, just 2 Tag Calls there. Also playing Crushing Hammer in their place. So Crushing Hammer, you know, it's really hit or miss, and some people prefer to have it in their deck and just take that odds and hope the odds are on their side, and some people just don't want to have extra variance in their deck, so they'd rather play cards with guaranteed effects. Chi here decided to play Crushing Hammer, and it worked out for him because he earned 132 tournament rep, which all of these tournament reps since we've hit like 120, 125, it's a lot of rep. It's a grind. It's hard to get there, so good job to everyone. Next, we've got Gabriel Smart from US. Why did I put US? North America. These content creators, huh? They can't get anything right. With 135 tournament rep, playing Luke Metal Zacian. I wonder if I put US for every person after this. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, so Gabe Smart from North America, 135 tournament rep. Luke Metal Zacian with the tag call variant, the split of goggle cape, not the split of swell plant, just playing the 2 swell, trying to give himself a little bit of a better time against fire decks, I would imagine. No, I went back to North America. Okay, so Josh, I don't know his last name, but I have his Twitter tag there, from North America, 138 rep. This was the person that I mentioned, did not submit the list to me, but I saw it on Twitter, and it was the only Sent to Scorch list I had seen that was shared for earning over 100 tournament rep, or even qualifying for that matter. And Josh said that Alex Szymanski played this for some or all of his tournament keys as well. So I wanted to add this because Sent to Scorch vmax being played right now is kind of an oddity, since it looks like Victini vmax has kind of just taken over as the fire vmax to play. But Josh earned a whole slew of tournament rep with this. I believe him and Alex are both in the top 10 of North America for tournament rep, and they both played Sent to Scorch vmax. So Sent to Scorch vmax might still be good if you know what you're doing with it, just saying. And lastly, we have Mike Fouché from North America with 165 tournament rep, first in North America and tied for first worldwide, playing Pikarom, which I think is the best deck in format. So Pikarom's also what I played for, I believe, about 25 out of 41 of the keys I played, or something like that. So yeah, Mike is like a Pikarom master in recent times, playing a consistent list with the things he thinks are needed here. Mike is not playing Yell Grunt, but I also know that I talked to him and he was just not hitting the multitude of Eternatus's that I was hitting in Players Cup tournaments. So he ended up taking out the Yell Grunts because he didn't see a need for them. I ended up hitting so many Eternatus decks throughout my Players Cup run that I kept the Yell Grunts in. So I definitely think we had some different experiences there with matchups. Mike, I believe, was also the one that told me to take out the Stealthy Hood because we didn't need it versus Urshifu, and he was right. I felt just fine versus Urshifu. So Mike played Big Charm in place of that Stealthy Hood. I ended up playing Tag Switch, but I will show my deck in a little bit. Just me blabbing because I've become a bit of a Pikarom fan in the past few months or so. So yeah, Mike earning just an incredible amount of tournament rep, almost hitting Alex Szymanski's record from PC3, which I believe was 173 tournament rep with Sent to Scorch, but Mike almost got there, but he is first in North America and tied first for global with Pikarom. So my deck selection, this is the list that I was using for the later half or so of my tournaments. In the first video I did updating on decks that were doing well in the Players Cup, I showed that I was playing Orbeetle VMAX and Pikarom. So I ended up playing Orbeetle VMAX for about 10 tournaments. I played Luke Metal for 1 tournament and lost and completely tossed that to the side, and then played Pikarom for the rest. At one point, I think I went on a streak of either 7 or 8 straight first places, so I was on like 21 or 24 wins in a row in Players Cup events. I ended up earning 114 tournament rep. I used 41 keys, so I was going to see if I could get the first place, but once I lost the last one, I couldn't get the first place anymore if I won out all of my keys, so I just stopped playing at that point. Since I was already safely qualified with 114 rep and I didn't use my last 9 keys. But I'll probably talk about this more in depth, either in a video or a Patreon article or both. But I think Pikarom is the best deck in format. There are things that have changed since Players Cup 3's top 256 portion and the current 256 portion that's about to come up. But the thing that hasn't changed is Pikarom and Eternatus are still both great calls for the tournament, or for this part of the tournament, I believe. And I do think Pikarom is the best deck in format. So this is going to be one of my top considerations moving forward. So moving forward, like I said, I think Pikarom's the best deck in format, and I think there's a lot of similarities between the last top 256 and this top 256. I think it's a little bit of a better format, depending on what you rate a good or bad or okay format on, but nothing too noticeable. I think ADPZ is being played a little bit less, at least a little bit less to success. I think Luke Metal and Pika, Eternatus, fire decks of some sort, they're all still here and around. Decidueye is still here and getting a couple high finishes. And then we have Urshifu, we have Victini, Galarian Rapidash V, which was only legal for about 2 weeks of the qualifying period. So yeah, looking forward, I'll be making content regarding the top 256 that's coming up, and I'll be testing that, and I'll be writing about it over on my Patreon. But of course, any questions you might have about any of the decks in this video, or how the Players Cup works, or top 256 that's coming up, which is going to be the Swiss rounds this time as opposed to double elimination, but I think 2 losses will still effectively kick you out of placing in top 16, so maybe it's not even all that different. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions about it in the comments down below. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, and check out PotownStore.com and use code Celio for 5% off. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.